What's good YouTube, and welcome to the house, making me one of the Konami unsponsorable channels by talking about the hard issues. Quality control is out of whack with Gold Series, and it's not only the USA, it's also the EU that are seeing these things, which is wild because they took a whole extra month to prepare this set, and then you also know it's from two different printing plants because it comes in different packaging completely for the EU and USA, and even how it's boxed up, quantities, all of that stuff. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Misprint Collectors group has been a great place to resource a lot of this, but unlike Toon Chaos, where it's like, these cards are damaged, it's awful, if you're getting these misprints, you're making a ton of money, and it's looking really gosh dang nice for this set. So we're gonna go over a couple of cards that we've seen. Auctions, actually, there's quite a few, so we better get into it quick, but I want to shout this group out. It's a really good look for a lot of where these are coming from, and you can kind of see how the auctions are going for yourself. I spend a lot of time in here just looking at cool cards also. So the first example here actually comes from Tier 0, and they said they've gotten every Ghost Sister so far except Ash Blossom like this, and this is a very desirable misprint known as a foil shift, and we haven't seen foil shifts in quite some time, I think. So you can see actually the glazing is up because Gold Series has a special glazing, and you see the stars are up. This reminds me of Ultimate Rare misprints from back in the day, and then you can see like the attribute is up as well. It's not the coolest misprints that we've actually seen from Gold Series because it gets even wilder, but this is a very nice, desirable one on high wanted cards in terms of the Ghost Sisters, and you can see the other, while this has one lining, the Spooky Dogwood, it's like line, 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 so maybe they got shifted on the sheet that was getting cut from, and it just happened up that way. So that does seem a little damaged along with the misprint. So less damaged misprints obviously will feature higher dollar values. And then this, I would never harp on this for quality control. These are name shifts. This is common. We saw this, I believe, as recently as Rise of the Duelist with even the secret rare sheets. Name shifts are just going to happen, and they're going to be hard to avoid in quality control. There's not something that tells you the card is damaged. It's just ink / stamping printed down, and I think it's pretty cool and ends up looking like something that you would want if you're a collector. Like, I would like to play this trade-in kind of in Blue Eye. Somebody posted this recently in Zodiac Duelist, and I pointed them the way of the misprint collector group. With Gold Series being so widespread and having so many errors, I also thought it was a good idea to shout that group out so people can educate themselves and also see the auctions that are going. Now, this is from an old friend, the BB. He runs the Ghost team that is over in Colorado. He's topped YCSs, and this is kind of wild, so I'm gonna zoom in here and give you a look. Look, the white is actually exposed of the card itself. Sometimes you'll pull completely blank white cards in sets, and there's no way to identify it. But here we actually get a look at the base back of the blank card while still in the gold rare. You have a foil shift, the stars are off, and the actual gold is off in the picture, which I haven't seen really too many other cards have this kind of a shift. And this is a great card, and I have not seen any of the other vanillas done like this. This is crazy good in terms of a reprint and a wild look at just how big of a range. But yeah, the white is exposed all the way around here. I would imagine this one's unplayable. It's just going to become straight A collectible when it comes down to it. Now, this is from my sponsors, Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily. They pulled this one, and it's like how many things can go wrong with a single card. You have this gold bar. Let's go ahead and zoom in for you guys. You have this gold bar happening with multiple lines in it covering the effect, making it unplayable. It looks like you even have foil bleed in the box. Gaia the Dragon champion's name over the attack values. You have kind of a double print into the name and the stars here. It's just wild everything going on with this card. And then a border in the middle of the card too that like bleeds on. How does this even happen? The auction for this card is over $2,150 last I looked with time left on it. We're talking big money for the crazier the reprint you get, and this is one of the craziest of them by far. You can even see outlines of the gold shifted on the card. I don't think there's been a rival to this one except for one other that we'll get into a bit later in this video. But yeah, it's really wild out here for the misprints. Now, this is from Ned. He's a big vendor, and he actually has a no gold foil. So this, you can see the extra layer of gold foil is missing, so it almost looks looks like an old school gold rare, but brighter and shinier, and then there's no gold outline in the picture. He got several cards this way, I believe. And then you have miscuts. This is more common. Again, I wouldn't really harp on miscuts for the typical quality control, but we're seeing a show like never before when it comes to misprints. And you can actually see here, I think there's been a couple of Cosmo Towns with this dragged up thing. How does that even happen? It's literally like dragged up, but the rest of everything is in place. It's so crazy. But miscuts in general, the thick boys in this set, and you can see problems again with the white starting to get exposed or dragged down, like the thick cuts. That's happened in past gold series. I actually think I have old school gold rares in my closet that's happened with, and it's more common to other sets. I have a prize card this way that should actually have gotten into circulation period that I believe is from the Lost Jump. So miscuts happen. I don't think that's too bad, but the other craziness is where we're really seeing it. So there's a lot of miscuts going around. I'll just go through a few that look nice for the eye candy right now that are going around in that group, and it's kind of cool. This is almost nostalgic for me, and here again the white is exposed. This is another one of BB's cards. That's more of a problem. That ends up, yeah, you probably can't play this card. It's super uneven with raised and then unraised. It becomes an instant collectible. This is the one that rivals the Pallades, rivals the stars. But this Ghost Ogre is wild in its surface today, and it's kind of similar in terms of, if we zoom in here, you can see how the picture is completely shifted. You end up with almost another card, but instead it's just a blank. You have blanking on the side, so that just automatically stops it from being playable, and the text starts to get interrupted. You have that thick gold bar as well. The stars shifted up, so you kind of got a double starred thing, and it looks like even a double printed, because this gold box starts to be in place, but then it gets out of place. The circulation of these is wild, but it's so cool. If you're seeing this and you're like, the boxes aren't cool, I'm gonna get damaged cards, dude, this is like $1,000 bill handed to you. This is like 2 of your cases back within a single pack. This might up making the set overall even more open than it originally would have been, for people chasing down the craziness that they could be after. And for the first edition, well, there's no first ed stamp on this one now, is it? It's covered up. But for the first edition set of these, it's definitely going to just rise demand for it and make people go even crazier for the cards inside. This is a good thing, actually, as surprising as that may sound, versus like the damaged cards that would come out of Toon Chaos. This is kind of really good. Now, we haven't seen double stamps in a while either, and this is a great example of one of those. You see the stars are printed twice, the name is printed twice, even the picture's outline of gold gets printed twice. You get an extra border. The first edition is covered up again, unfortunately, but so many amazing looking misprints are just coming out of here, and it's wild how different they are. They're all over the cutting sheet. It's not happening in one place in the cutting sheet, although it's kind of weird how the Cosmo Town ends up. The Crush cards pulled this one very publicly in a pack opening, and they came into my stream last night. I was low on energy, sorry, but they showed me, and I was like, yo, this is probably $300 to $500 in value on my original estimate. And while Gold Series is wild and there's so many misprints, you're either like selling it immediately into the hype, in my opinion, or you're holding on to it in the very long term where it could curve back up. Nibiru is a highly played card, highly sought after, and a clean foil shift like this, similar to the Ghost Sisters that we saw before, this is just crazy wild, and I think they got themselves an amazing pull with this one, like just absurd. And they immediately got an offer when they were like, yo, gauging interest of $200 in the misprint group, and they're considering auctioning it or what they're gonna do with it. But amazing pull by the Crush cards. And then here we see kind of the same miscut, but with missing foiling. This is a little less acceptable to me. How do you get into a place with missing foil? I do, and then like even the curved foil. Last I looked, this was at $70 though in the misprint group. So even ones that I would find, like, I don't like the white showing. Personally, me, I would be looking at the others. People are after any and every misprint from this like set. They're much more unique than other sets, and I think it's a pretty crazy ride overall. But what do you guys think of the show that is Gold Series? It's both EU packs and USA packs. It's everywhere. Maybe it's the printing process that just didn't get down right. I haven't seen any OCG gold rares end up like this, and they're very public with showing off their misprints and what happens over there, and there's misprint collectors in the OCG, so this is a crazy thing to be happening in the TCG, and while quality control has been out of whack all year, this is the biggest show of it by far, but kind of in reverse, in a good way for collectors and a good way for people to have something unique. While singles are already cheap, it's not going to affect singles prices. It's not going to affect the set. Also, I want to touch on a couple of things here late into the video to reward who watched. TCG ratios, it seems that both Blue Eyes and Dark Magician are half prints. Not straight up short prints, but kind of like things that have alter arts. YBM and Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily have both reported to me that they got less of Blue Eyes and Dark Magician by half than Red Eyes, and then I was like, is that versus all cards? And they're like, yeah. So it seems that USA, Blue Eyes and Dark Magician are half prints. I don't believe they are for the EU. I'll check back with Tier 0 and see if they open more product and any trend happened, because at first Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily said, well, nothing seems off, and now they're like, yeah, it seems like they're half, and YBM confirmed that also. So USA, definitely Blue Eyes and Dark Magician are two of the most looked at cards, although I still think it'll stack Blue Eyes, Red Eyes, Dark Magician in terms of long-term pricing. That definitely does not help the long-term price for Blue Eyes, and I would get them sooner than later. Of course, using that TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra to support the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying, or with code What'sGood5 to support the channel and get yourself 5% off at Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily. Sponsored stuff out of the way. It's wild. The ride is wild. I actually enjoy looking at stuff like this. I don't want to harp on Konami. I know it's a tough year. I know their situation. I know that they're going through having to deal with the crush card virus going around and dealing with everything that's happening and getting cards printed. And overall, most cards are probably still printed pretty right. But the fact that this many have come out this early from Gold Series, it's a crazy ride. The Rise of the Duelist name shift misprint stuff, those disappeared fast, and there aren't as many as we would have first thought. But Gold Series, it's like everywhere.